Hey everybody, it's Miss Lydia. I just wanted to start reading a book with you. I thought it would be cool if we could start a chapter book and maybe we could have like a read a chapter a day. So I picked the Phantom Tollbooth, which is by Norton Juster. It's illustrated by Jules Pfeiffer with an appreciation by Maurice Sendak, which we know Maurice Sendak. We've worked with books with him. And I just wanted to share it with you. When I was in college, I actually was in a play of this show. So, because remember when I did college, I was an actress and I was a teacher. So I am in my dining room right now. I know there's stuff behind me, so I want to tell you about them. So okay, that right there is the Hansel and Gretel cottage, and next to it is a map of Indiana. When I was in college, I had a senior project, and I decided to do, since I was doing theater education, I did a fairy tale, the Grimm's fairy tales, which the Grimm brothers wrote a lot of the fairy tales that you're familiar with. They've been rewritten, but I used their telling of the stories, and I did Hansel and Gretel, the Golden Goose, and Rumpelstiltskin. And I actually traveled around to different schools. So I got to bring theater to school, which was pretty cool. And then this is Indiana, which is where I was born, and that's South Bend right there at the top, and that's where I was born, and that's where I'm from. And then that's Indianapolis, which is where I went to college at Butler University. Okay, so the Phantom Tollbooth. On the back, it says, "A journey to the lands beyond. For Milo, everything's a bore. When a toll booth mysteriously appears in his room, he drives through only because he's got nothing better to do. But on the other side, things seem different. Milo visits the island of conclusions, you get there by jumping, learns about time from a ticking watchdog named Talk, and even embarks on a quest to rescue Rhyme and Reason. Somewhere along the way, Milo realizes something astonishing. Life is far from dull. In fact, it's exciting beyond his wildest dreams." Keep forgetting that I need to look at the camera, not the video. So we'll get there. So this is the map of where he goes through the toll booth. Actually, I'll just hold that up a little bit longer so you guys can see it. This is a table of contents. It has 20 chapters, so we'll be doing this 20 times. Woo! Chapter 1, Milo. There once was a boy named Milo who didn't know what to do with himself. Not just sometimes, but always. When he was in school, he longed to be out, and when he was out, he longed to be in. On the way, he thought about coming home, and coming home, he thought about going. Wherever he wished he were somewhere else, and when he got there, he'd wondered why he bothered. Nothing really interested him, least of all the things it should have. So it sounds like Milo's pretty boring. Wherever he wants to be, he'd rather be somewhere else, and he's just not happy wherever he ends up. "It seems to me that almost everything is a waste of time," he remarked one day as he walked dejectedly home from school. Dejectedly means so he's saying, everything's a waste of time. My name's Milo. "I can't see the point in learning to solve useless problems or subtracting turnips from turnips or knowing where Ethiopia is or how to spell February." And since no one bothered to explain otherwise, he regarded the process of seeking knowledge as the greatest waste of time of all. As a teacher, Milo's got to learn, because we know learning is the most important thing, especially during this times when we're on our own at home with our families. It's the time to learn. You guys are going to be so smart by the time we're done with all this learning that we're doing at home. There's a picture of Milo walking home. As he and his unhappy thoughts hurried along, for while he was never anxious to be where he was going, he liked to get there as quickly as possible. It seemed a great wonder that the world, which was so large, could somehow feel so small and empty. "And worst of all," he continued sadly, "there's nothing for me to do. nowhere I'd care to go, and hardly anything worth seeing. He punctuated this last thought with such a deep sigh that a house sparrow singing nearby stopped and rushed home to be with his family. So he made a bird sad with how sad he was and how much he sighed. Without stopping or looking up, Milo dashed past the buildings and busy shops that lined the street, and in a few minutes reached home, dashed through the lobby, hopped onto the elevator, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and off again, opened the apartment door, rushed into his room, flopped dejectedly onto a chair, and grumbled softly, "Another long afternoon." He looked glumly at all the things he owned. The books that were too much trouble to read, the tools he'd never learned to use, the small electric automobile he hadn't driven in months, or was it years? And the 100 of other games and toys and bats and balls and bits and pieces scattered around him. And then, to one side of the room, just next to the phonograph is it's a device. This book was written a while ago. It's a device that plays music, so it's like a CD player or like an Alexa. He noticed something he had certainly never seen. Who could possibly have left such an enormous package in such a strange one? For while it was not quite square, it was definitely not round, and for its size, it was larger than almost any other package of smaller dimension that he'd ever seen. Attached to one side was a bright blue envelope which said simply, "For Milo, who has plenty of time." Of course, if you've ever gotten a surprise package, you can imagine how puzzled and excited Milo was. And if you've ever gotten one, pay close attention, because someday you might. "I don't think it's my birthday," he puzzled. "And Christmas must be months away, and I haven't been outstandingly good, or even good at all." He had to admit that even to himself. "Most probably I won't like it anyway, but since I don't know where it came from, I can't possibly send it back." He thought about it for quite a while and then opened the envelope, but just to be polite. "One genuine turnpike tollbooth, it said, and then it went on. "Easily assembled at home and for use by those who have never traveled in lands beyond." Beyond what? Thought Milo, as he continued to read. "This package contains the following items. 1. Genuine turnpike toll booth to be erected according to directions." That means it's a toll booth that you're going to have to build the way that they tell you to. 3 precautionary signs to be used in precautionary fashions. Precautionary means to be careful. Assorted coins for use in paying tolls. 1 map up to date and carefully drawn by master cartographers depicting natural and man-made features. I think that's the map that we saw earlier. 1 book of rules and traffic regulations which may not be bent or broken. And in smaller letters at the bottom, it concluded, "Results are not guaranteed, but if not perfectly satisfied, your wasted time will be refunded." Following the instructions, which told him to cut here, lift there, and fold back all around, he soon had the toll booth unpacked and set up on its stand. He fitted the windows in place and attached the roof, which extended out on both sides and fastened on the coin box. It was very much like the toll booths he's seen many times on family trips, except of course it was much smaller and purple. What a strange present, he thought to himself. The least they could have done was to send it to a highway with it, for it's terribly impractical without one. But since, at the time, there was nothing else he wanted to play with, he set up the 3 signs. "Slow down, approaching toll booth. Please have your fare ready. Have your destination in mind." And slowly unfolded the map. See, those were the rules, so they're all in capital letters. As the announcement stated, it was a beautiful map in many colors, showing principal roads, rivers and seas, towns and cities, mountains and valleys, intersections and detours, and sites of outstanding interest, both beautiful and historic. The only trouble was that Milo had never heard of any of the places it indicated, and even the names sounded most peculiar. I don't think there really is such a country, he concluded after studying it carefully. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, and he closed his eyes and poked a finger at the map. Dictionopolis, read Milo slowly when he saw what his finger had chosen. Oh well, I might as well go there as anywhere. He walked across the room and dusted the car off carefully. Then, taking the map and rulebook with him, he hopped in and, for lack of anything better to do, drove slowly up to the toll booth. As he deposited his coin and rolled past, he remarked wistfully, I do hope this is an interesting game. Otherwise, the afternoon will be so terribly dull. And that's the end of chapter 1, Milo. So stay tuned. We're going to be reading this book together. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen to Milo? Where do you think this toll booth is going? If you're not sure what a toll booth is, it's when you're on the road. We used to have one going over to the West Bank that you would have to go through, and you would have to pay money to get through. So a toll booth is something that you have to drive through to get to another place. All right, I miss you all. I hope you're doing well. Take care and write me a message on Parent Square. Let me know what you think.